unusual. I wanna be invisible. Looking at my years like I'm martyrdom. Everybody needs to be a part of them. Never be enough. I'm the prodigal son. I was born to run. I was born for the days.
This afternoon, a storied rivalry reaches its half-century mark. Dayton and Butler meet up for the 50th time in history from Welcome Stadium, right in the crux of the PFL season. Both teams still have their sights set on a conference title. Dayton comes in 3-0 in the league. Butler 2-1 after a loss to nationally ranked Presbyterian last week. They look to get back to their winning ways under first-year head coach Kevin Lynch. And the Bulldogs start this off receiving the kickoff to begin this game and this rivalry here on the road. Alongside Josh Copeland, Luke Westpoli with you. A dismantling for Dayton last week on the road against Valpo. Dayton with back-to-back road victories fueled by strong first halves. Still waiting to play that full four-quarter game, as Trevor Andrews has talked about, but hoping that can come against their best opponent they've played so far in PFL play. A Butler team that was picked to finish in the top 4 of the league.
Yeah, these two teams, they know each other very well, so I'm excited for this game in conference, and I'm excited to see how UD starts. If they start fast like they continue to do, or they did in the past couple games, and yeah, look to put together 4 quarters of solid football.
Kickoff is away for the Flyers. And the Butler offense will start from the 25-yard line. Bulldog staff carries a lot of in-state pedigree, and Kevin Lynch is a man that comes from a familiar family to Bulldog fans, as his father, Bill, was the longtime head coach, played at Butler, also coached at DePaul, and later on, most notably Indiana, before his retirement. And Kevin taking over for departed head coach Mike Urimovich, who left for the Ball State job in the offseason. Former associate head coach at Ball State, now has a head coaching job in the Hoosier State. And the handoff on first down goes nowhere for the Bulldogs and Griffin Caldwell. This team, they can really run it, averaging 173 yards per game on the ground. That is second best in the PFL, but Dayton stacks up to begin the game.
Yeah, when you have an offense that's so relying on the run game to win games, and the quarterback runs and running back runs, and UD has to be really disciplined in their defensive scheme today.
On second down and 10, to the ground game again, and maybe a wrinkle for Caldwell, but only gets a couple of yards. For the Bulldogs, it's really their quarterback, Reagan Andrew, that leads the charge on the ground. He's got 418 rushing yards on the season, and he's one rush shy of 100 attempts on the year. We see them go to their feature back, Griffin Caldwell, for the first couple of carries to set up third down and long.
Yeah, we have a quarterback like Andrew that gets in there and he can put his nose down and he gets those tough yards when you need them. That sparks the offense sometimes when you're kind of on third down.
On third down, Andrew looks to throw. Now he steps up, and he's gobbled. The Flyers collapse around him. Mirko Jakšić leads the charge for Dayton. It's a loss of 2, and Butler goes 3 and out.
That's a great way to open the game for UD right there. You got an offense that you know you have dual threat opportunities with the quarterback, and you have 3 straight runs, and UD is able to stop them for almost 2 yards there, get a 3 and out, get your offense back the ball, your high-powered offense, get them back the ball quicker and early in the first quarter.
This is Ryan Short, who both kicks and punts for Butler, and he barely gets this one away. And a fair catch made just outside the 40-yard line for the Flyers. And Ryan Martin, Dayton set up with good field position on their first offensive drive of the game. So first time we see Bryce Schondelmeyer and crew here this afternoon. Dayton averaging over 30 points a game. They're second in the PFL in scoring. And they have had no issues punching it in early in games this season. Last week, they took the ball to start the game and went right down the field and scored in a dominant win against Valpo. Schondelmeyer play fake on first down, a dangerous throw to the far side. It's broken up. Dev Holman back there in coverage. The Indy native, who was all Pioneer League last year, sweeps in to break that up.
Yeah, that's a great play by a corner right there. He knew that UD likes to start fast with the passing ball, get something out of his hands real quick, and so the DB read the three-step drop and broke something on that power.
Schondelmeyer out of the gun. Hands it off to Hackett, and he's stopped right at the line. Tripped up for no gain. And Dayton now faced with a third down and long.
Yeah, the one thing I love about UD's offense is that they do not have many turnovers, right? They're one of the top in the nations in turnover margins, and that's something that you can take pride in, right? If you can control the ball, control the clock, control the field position, and not give your opponent chances on offense, that helps you out in the long season.
Empty for Schondelmeyer. Checks it over the middle, but not enough there for Donovan Weatherly. He's stopped right at midfield. Dayton considering going for this. And looks like the Flyers are going to keep the offense on the field.
I kind of like this call. If they keep the offense on the field, you are trusting your quarterback, right? You're trusting your offensive line. You're trusting the corner. You're riding the horse that got you here, if you will. So their offense has been playing extremely well all season, and you just trust your guys right here. You trust them and to make a play and get a couple yards when you need it.
Dayton 75% on fourth down this year. Schondelmeyer fakes the quick hitter. Now he looks deep down the far side. He airmailed his target. He was looking for Thulin. There was some contact, but overthrown by Dayton's young quarterback, and Butler takes over on downs right at midfield.
Yeah, they tried to take a shot there, hit him with a double move. It was kind of a slant and go, and they had him open, just a little overthrow, a little excited early in the game. But look for that. They get corrected, and once you settle down, you'll be able to make those connections. But great defensive play by Butler right there to get the ball back on the 50-yard line and get your offense, another chance in plus territory.
So 2 3-and-outs. That is really not something both of these teams do very often. A Dayton team that, again, has had a ton of success on opening drives this season. Butler, meanwhile, controls the clock better than pretty much anybody. They're second in the nation in time of possession behind only Harvard. Empty set for Andrew. He throws over the middle. That ball batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, when you're playing against Butler, you're not going to get that many offensive possessions, right? With them control the clock like they do, so you're going to have to make a chance to capitalize on all the opportunities you get. And, if you get up early, that plays into your favor, but you want to make sure that you at least move the ball and keep the offense off the field as much as you can.
It's part of the game plan, and pretty incredible what they've done with it this year. They held the ball for over 40 minutes last week in the game against Presbyterian. Andrew on the keeper. Couple yards there. Sets up another third and long just past midfield for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, when you hold the ball for that long, that just wears on the defense, right? And you get guys, you can rotate guys in and out, but it's kind of demoralizing when you get third down and you try to stop them. They get a first down and you go to 5 to 8 to 12 play drives. That just wears down the defense all game. So they do a really good job of having a semi-balanced attack. I say semi because they mostly run, but, the quarterback can throw when he needs to.
Andrew is a dual threat guy, like you mentioned. Threw the ball over 30 times last week. Third down and 8. Another keeper. Andrew bursts through, but not enough. He picks up 3. And now a decision going the other way for offensive coordinator Colin Johnson and Butler. And they bring on Gabe Pacini, who is the third-string quarterback, but he also is part of a pooch punt package for Butler.
Yeah, when you have kind of multiple quarterbacks rolling in, they can both run and pass. That just puts a little bit more scheme on and strain on the defense to see what you want to do. Looks like he's popping back for the pooch punt.
There it is. Try to coffin corner this one. It checks up nicely, and Butler downs this inside the 5. Passini had one punt this year. It was against Weber State. That was a 52-yard boom. This time he takes some off of it and pins Dayton at their own 2-yard line for their second drive of the game.
That was such a great punt and such a great play call, right? You bring a quarterback in, so UD doesn't know if you're going to actually call a play or do a pooch. So you do the pooch right before the snap, catch UD kind of with nobody back there, and you pin them down inside the 1. That's a great play.
This Butler team runs things a little bit old school. They have the pooch punt package. Their kicker both kicks and punts. Their quarterback still holds on field goals. They subscribe to a lot of those kind of older football ideals. Dayton tries to counter this, and there's a ton of room to get Dayton out of the shadow of their own end zone. It's Hansen still going. He's finally mowed out of bounds past midfield.
That's a great run call. Hansen right there. You get the ball. You just want to get positive yards on that play, right? You tuck back in your own end zone. You just want to give your offense some breathing room to work with. And just like many defenses, right, if one guy's out of place, one guy's out of position, a big play can happen, and that's what happened right there.
Onaye Anoha finally ran him out. But a big-time run for Luke Hansen. Gain of 54 sets Dayton up in plus territory. They swing it out to him again. And this time he's torn down pretty much immediately. Jackson Stratton makes the stop. Goes for a gain of 1. 2nd down and 9 coming up for the Flyers.
Yeah, after a big play like that, you're kind of now your offense can calm down a little bit, right? When you're back in your own end zone, you kind of force and you kind of press to get some yards. Now you can take your time, you can read the defense, you can get the plays called that you kind of want to and get back on the game plan.
Handoff goes to Laco, and he has a burst of speed across the 40-yard line. Laco's turned into a really nice multi-tool for Dayton. It's part of their trick plays. He can throw the football. He's a receiver by trade. They also use him out of the backfield, and this sets up a manageable 3rd down.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Julian Edelman when he first got to the Patriots. Just you kind of Swiss Army knife, utility knife that can do everything, but when he's on the field, you have to be able to keep eyes on him, and that draws a lot of defensive attention because he is so explosive and can do so many things.
It's Dayton's 2nd leading receiver through the air this year as well. Screen pass, look out. Anoha blasts Laco for a loss.
That is technique, teaching tape technique right there for how you watch film and you see your technique and you see your keys. He was able to read that just like one of the first passes of the game. They did the same thing, tried to do a little hitch to his side, and he was able to read the 3-set drop right there. The receiver didn't get a block, and he's making a great 2 plays right there to start the game.
It's the Dartmouth transfer, Onaye Anoha, who played at Butler last year, had a pretty solid first season after winning a couple of Ivy League titles with the Big Green. Dayton brings on the punt team. Munson lets that bounce, and Dayton spots it up inside the 10-yard line. So both teams set up with difficult field position. Dayton got across midfield but stalled. And feels like the first round of the boxing match. Teams are doing a little bit, but haven't really thrown that big haymaker yet.
Yeah, they're just throwing jabs at each other, just trying to get a feel for each other. And then, UD landed a nice little hook there with their long run in the goal line. But this is what you talked about it a lot of times in other games. This is the cat and mouse game, right? You bring your offense out, defense out, see what the team's giving up, see what they're doing, and then you make adjustments as needed throughout the game.
Dayton shows pressure. Screen from Andrew to the far side. Gets a little bit of space.
Yeah, UD has done a great job all season with their defense and flying around to the ball and getting stops when they need to get stops and making it extremely difficult to move the ball down the field. So when you have a defense like they do and an offense like they do, right, you get the defense get stops, offense puts up points. That makes for a great season, and they're having a great season so far.
Second down. Quick draw, and Dayton stops this up for no gain.
Yeah, Butler is committed to the run. This first 2-3 drives they've had, they've committed to running the ball and trying to wear down Dayton's defensive line and get some positive yards when they can. But I don't know how sustainable that is when you're playing against a high-power offense like you do. You want to get some points on the board and kind of put your defense in position of success. And so we'll be excited to see how their game plan, if it changes throughout the game.
Faced with another third down here. Griffin Caldwell's the back. Andrew looks to throw. To the outside, he's got his target, Archie Cox, near the sticks, and he's got the first down.
Solid play call. You know where the sticks are. You just want to get a first down on this play and get your offense, keep your offense on the field, right? And if you're UD, now you're looking at, okay, they have opened up the pass just a little bit. Let's now buckle down. Let's get some stops, and let's get our offense back on the field. Somebody needs to make a play right here for UD.
Fresh set of downs for Butler. Handoff down the right side for Caldwell. And he's got a nice chunk gain on first down. Give him 8 on the carry.
Yeah, when Butler has a balanced attack, like we said, when you can make a completion and you can open up the passing game, that opens up the run, right? That makes the defense play a little softer. That makes the DBs bail a little bit quicker because they have the threat of making a completion, and then opens up something on the inside for the run.
Healthy dose of Caldwell so far. Has been getting more of the touches in PFL play. Dayton steps up on this 2nd and 2 as the hand goes back to him, and Caldwell maybe just a half yard short. His production has been down a little bit in Pioneer League play compared to this Butler offense that really ran wild in the non-conference slate. Set up with a 3rd down and short here. They need about a half yard.
Yeah, this is where their offense is comfortable, right? You're built on running the ball. You're built on getting short yardage. And they get a little tush push taken from the Eagles.
Pile up right at the line to gain. This is about where Butler needed it to be. Check on the official spot. Butler's already subbing. I think they marked him short. Nope, now they moved the chains. There
okay,
it is.
That was a little delayed.
Little bit of a delay, but it looked like the Butler sideline knew what was going on. They make the subs, and they get another set of downs as we move towards 3 minutes to play in the opening quarter.
Yeah, that's 2 third downs that they was able to get, and so that's building confidence in your offense that you can move the ball. UD needs to buckle down. You can bend, but don't break on this drive.
Tons of pressure shown up front for Dayton. They bring it. Andrew gets rid of it quickly. And a little wrinkle for Nick Munson, the Ball State transfer who previously played with his head coach Kevin Lynch for the Cardinals.
There's a great defensive play right there by UD. They had a blitz on. Butler seen the blitz and threw a screen, and UD's D-line was able to run down the line of scrimmage, make a play, which could have been a big play because Butler had all the offensive linemen ahead of them.
Fake the end around, and Andrew keeps. Comes ahead for about a yard, and this is turned into a bread and butter down for the Butler offense. 3rd and short again on this drive.
Yeah. You kind of, if you get comfortable in these situations like they are, you don't panic, right? You don't panic when you get 2nd and 7. You can know you can get to 3rd and short and get complete. But as UD, this is something that you need to step up right now. As a defender, you're like, okay, they done converted 2 of these already in this drive. Let's buckle down. Let's get a stop, get our offense back on the field, and get some good points on the board.
Motion Caldwell into the backfield. Butler's already converted twice on third down. They go down the far side, and it's brought in by Ethan Loss. There he goes, and the first big play of the day belongs to the Bulldogs. Touchdown, Butler.
That was a back shoulder kind of fade stop. Really hard as a DB to cover that. They had trips on the far side, one-on-one on backside. Andrew read that defense perfectly and threw a perfect ball right there. And, you know, that's tough for a DB when you're one-on-one on the island like that backside, and they kind of threw a fade stop, kind of back shoulder. That's a very tough position to be in.
67 yards on the completion for Loss. Ryan Short on for the PAT. Ball was tipped, but sneaks through. And Butler takes a touchdown lead. 9 plays, 93 yards over just over 5 minutes. And the Bulldogs have the first statement drive of the afternoon with a trio of third down conversions.
Yeah, you talked about it earlier, time of possession, right? Butler's known for taking up a lot of time on that. It was a 5-minute drive right there. And that, once again, you limit the opposing team's offensive possessions. And when you can score like that and you can get them down early, it makes it tough for them because they know they might have to press a little bit and get some points and respond because they're just not going to have that many opportunities throughout the game.
So that has turned into the Butler way. Bulldogs who lost by 6 last week against Presbyterian, but outgained the Blue Hose. Had over 40 minutes again of possession time, and they faced 17 third downs last week, so not a team that is fazed by that down at all. On third and fourth down combined, they were 9 of 19.
When you have that, I mean, that just shows trust in your guys, right? That just shows trust that you guys can get it done in crucial downs.
Fielded on a couple of hops by Laco, and he accelerates across the 25-yard line.
And we talked about that first round of a boxing match, those jabs. Butler really threw a haymaker right there, and they was able to connect on it. And so I'm excited to see how UD comes out and if they come back and respond and what they call up to kind of put pressure on Butler's defense.
Haven't seen Schondelmeyer go down the field too much yet. He's 3 for 5 through the air for just 6 yards. He had the overthrow on the fourth down play. He's back out there with under 2 minutes to play in the first. And he takes the snap. It's a handoff as Hackett counters through the pile.
Yeah, he had the overthrow on kind of the double move, but it was open and it was there. So what that tells me is that they see something, they're going to probably exploit it here in a little bit, maybe later in this half. But those are something you come back to. When you have a play that's open and you just didn't connect, you're going to want to come back to that at some point.
2nd down and 6. Let Schondelmeyer go again. Pressure from behind, and it's incomplete. Dev Holman had a chance at playing that football, and Kevin Lynch is pleading that there was some OPI there from Michael Masseri to prevent the interception.
Yeah, he was over the top, and that ball, on that situation, that ball, just like on Butler's touchdown, a little back shoulder right there. When you have the DB playing so far over the top, you know if you air it out, he's going to be there to make a play. So you had to hit him back shoulder on that one.
3rd down for Dayton. Screen again. Laco around the edge. Stays in bounds and flails for the necessary yardage. He gets to the 38 and picks up the first down.
Great play call. Get the ball in the hands of your speedster and get him to get to the edge and get yards. And when you're having this kind of drive, you just want to make first downs, right? You want to answer what Butler did and march down the field. You want to keep control of the clock and also field position, but you just want to continue to make positive yards on every play.
Dayton has to run one more play in the first quarter. Hansen on the pitch. Follows the blockers, no room. He's down right at the line of scrimmage. Outside of one explosive, Butler's run defense has looked pretty solid so far.
Yeah, they are. And when you're signing gap sound, and the unfortunate part is when you are such a tight defense and you know everybody's one-on-one and guy for guy, if one guy's out of position, you have a big play like they had in the end zone and brush out there so for a big run. So they're doing a great job right now of staying gap sound, discipline, and stopping UD kind of on what they want to do.
After 1 quarter of play, Butler leads Dayton 7-0 off the 67-yard touchdown catch by Ethan Loss. Flyer football when we come back for the second quarter. Stay with us. Second down for the Flyer offense. Their own half of the field. A couple drives have stalled around midfield. Again, they call Luke Hansen's number, who has the one explosive so far. He picks up a few. 3rd down and 7 coming up for Dayton.
Yeah, great play right there. Butler's defense, they swarmed the ball, and that's what I've really noticed that they did a lot in the first quarter is everybody was running to the ball, right? And if you don't, we had a defensive coach said, if I don't beat you there, I'll meet you there, right? So everybody's flying around to the ball and making tackles, and that's fun to watch.
Butler looking to improve upon that run defense that allowed over 200 yards on the ground against Presbyterian last week. Butler backs out of heavy rush. Schondelmeyer with plenty of time, and he connects with Masseri down the seam. A season low, just 20 yards from Masseri on his one catch last week, but it was for a touchdown. And the Flyers transfer ad from Cincinnati continues to produce chunk plays as they move into Butler territory.
Yeah, that was a great read right there. He kind of hit right down the seam. Looks like Butler dropped down in kind of a cover two, so the seam was wide open right over top of the linebackers. Great throw.
Flyers talked a lot about seeing increased comfortability by Bryce Schondelmeyer with more time in this offense. He aims for Masseri again on the home run ball. It's incomplete. Dev Holman pleading that he caught that ball. But for the moment, Dayton avoids their first interception of the season as they tried to go back to Masseri again.
Yeah, Masseri was open. He had him on a double move. They had it called a sluggo, slant and go, and he just underthrew him just a little bit. I'm not sure if the pressure got to him, but he floated it in the air just a little bit too long when the corner was able to come make a play. But they had a couple chances, and they were open deep this first half, so they're probably going to come back to those and make the completion on those.
Handoff this time goes to Mason Hackett. Dayton's physical back fights through the contact down to the 34-yard line.
Yeah, Butler defense, they're getting kind of, I won't say antsy, but they're kind of jumping at the line of scrimmage, and they kind of stepped over and came back a couple of times. So that tells me that they are keen on his cadence, right? That tells me that there's something that they noticed, that they're flying off the ball. So you have to mix up the cadence and slow them down just a little bit to get some bigger plays in the run game.
Schondelmeyer in his first year starting after a couple seasons not playing at Youngstown State. He pitches it to Hackett. He gets swarmed for a loss.
Yeah, Butler's defense is flying around. But once again, I think they are picking up on something in his cadence to where they know, okay, the ball's about to snap at this point, right? And when you can do that, you start to anticipate where it's going. So you can fly down here, you can fly off the ball. That makes it extremely tough for the offense to get penetration and move the defense back when the defensive line and linebackers are right in your face right as the snap of the ball.
Dayton's got to go for this outside field goal range. They're 0 for 1 on 4th down. Schondelmeyer looks to the far side, and he connects. They lined up Laco in the backfield, but the receiver finds a hole, and the Flyers get a first down to the edge of the red zone.
That was a great route. He kind of ran kind of a inside and bent it back outside, and he had the defender all turned around. So that's what you dial up on 4th down, and that was a pitch and catch, right? It was there. He had time on the offensive line, gave him time. Receiver ran a great route. That's what you expect from UD's offense.
Schondelmeyer looks for it. Laco's wide open.
They answered quick. They answered fast.
6 or 7 points for Gavin Laco.
That's such a great play right there. Great design, great play call. They caught him in the cover 2, and he was able to hit just like in the drive, he was able to hit the receiver right on the seam over the linebacker in front of the safety. Great completion.
Robbie Smart puts it through. And Dayton evens the game. It's a celebration that I'm sure Gavin Laco will want to keep, but Dayton has made it a habit of going back to the same guy a couple times in a row, and Laco comes up with 2 huge catches.
Yeah, it was a great play call. As you see, the linebacker didn't get enough depth in his drop to be underneath that ball to make Laco kind of run a deeper route. So he was able to just hit right over the linebacker, right in between the safety, and that's a great pitch and catch. I mean, that looks like if Butler doesn't get that corrected, they'll come back to that a lot because that's just an easy completion, 15, 20 yards whenever you need it.
Dayton has the answer. Flyers go 73 yards on 11 plays. Laco with a big 4th down catch to keep the drive alive, and then wide open down the middle of the field to tie the game.
Yeah, when something works, you kind of you don't kind of go away from it, and so he was able to, like you said, run a great route on that 4th down to get open, and then also come right back to him for the touchdown. That's exciting as a receiver, right? When you know, okay, if I do my job right, I'm going to get the ball, and they're going to also reward me for getting us down here. So that's a great play call right there.
First PFL game for the Flyers this season that they didn't score in the first quarter, but had the answer early in the second. And now it's Butler's turn. Inside the 5-yard line, there's space! All the way up the far side of the field.
It's like a couple flags.
This may come back as
during the return, holding, receiving team number 4, 10-yard penalty, first down, Butler.
A strong return by Ethan Loss is partially called back, and Butler will start with regular field position. This is an area where you got to be a little bit careful, though, if you're Dayton's defense. In the 3rd quarter for Butler last week, they had the ball pretty much the entire time, and it is not out of the question to say that Butler could legitimately run this close to or all the way to halftime.
Yeah, that's what we talk about. That's where they feel comfortable. He said they had 17 third downs last game, and so when you have that, you're not panicking when you get in those situations. And a lot of times, teams when they get in third and short, they start to get out of character because they're trying to force it. But Butler's there, that's right in their wheelhouse what they want to do, and we got to look for them to kind of put together a good drive here.
Quick check down. And a chunk gain for Jack Waybright.
And to go to that taking the time of possession, I don't know if he did it on purpose, or I don't know if this is something that they teach, but on that play, he could have ran out of bounds and stopped the clock and avoided contact, but he lowered his shoulder right into the defender and kept that clock running. So that is something that I don't know if that's coached, to kind of say, okay, listen, let's just take as many time off the clock as we can, or if that's just instinctual, but that was a great play.
2nd and 1. Andrew looks to throw near side, incomplete, just out of reach of Nick Munson.
Yeah, it was a good concept. Looked like they had one-on-one with UD, and UD's defender, linebacker right there, played great coverage on the number 2 receiver, and he was able to sit around and flip the hips and make that a tough throw. When you have a small window like that, that has to be the perfect throw. Again, was that the linebacker or safety?
Yes, it was. It was
yes.
Eli Kirk.
Yes. Great coverage right there.
And his first career interception last week. 3rd down for Butler. Andrew has plenty. Stays on his feet across the 35.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. When they get 3rd down, that is what they're comfortable with, and they're not forcing, they're not rushing it, they're not doing anything other than what they normally do. And when you can convert on 3rd down, that adds a lot of confidence to the offense that, hey, we don't need to necessarily have the big play chunks to drive down the field and score. We can march down the field and kind of do what we want with the ball. And from a UD standpoint, you have to stand strong, and you got to stop them on those downs.
See Butler's trust in their 2nd-year starter, Reagan Andrew. Season high 31 rushing attempts for him last week. He threw the ball 33 times as well. He has the ball in his hands a lot. This time they give it, and Caldwell tripped up for a loss.
Yeah, I mean, when you run the ball 30-plus times, you have 30-plus completions, the offense runs through you. And when you're a good dual-threat quarterback like he is, that puts a wear on the defense because now you have to defend everything. You're not only defending the running backs in the run, the receivers, but you also have a quarterback that can get those chunk yardages, and if a play breaks down, he's comfortable running and getting a couple yards.
Andrew had 3 rushing touchdowns a couple weeks ago in the overtime win against St. Thomas. Flip to the outside. Munson upended. Josh Williams, the Dayton kid from Wayne High School, with the stop.
Great play by Williams there. He was able to fight off the block and come and make a tackle for loss. And even though we talked about Butler being comfortable in 3rd downs, you don't want to see 3rd and long, right? You don't want to see 3rd and 10 because that's just not what the offense is built for. The offense is built for 3rd and 6 and short to get a couple yards. So this is a big play for UD's defense right here.
2 straight weeks with a TFL for Josh Williams. 3rd down and 10. Andrew flushed. Andrew runs, lowers his shoulder. He's short. A physical run by the Bulldog quarterback. But now a big decision needs to be made by Kevin Lynch. It's 4th and 2.
Yeah, but that's what makes Andrew such a problem to defend, right? Is when something breaks down in the pass, he's able to get 6, 7, 8 yards on a scramble, and now you're in a position, do we go for it or do we not? It looks like they are.
Butler rolls the dice. A screen, and Caldwell gets the 1st down.
Yeah, That's what they're good at. They're good at just getting the yards needed for a first down, right? And you're not trying to do too much. They're not trying to go over the top too many times. They're just they need 3 yards for a first down, they're trying to get 4. If they need 5 yards, they're trying to get 6. So they're just marching down the field. And you called it earlier. If UD doesn't step up and make a stop, Butler can really just take their time with this drive and eat up a lot of the clock.
The third catch for Caldwell, who's been a little more involved in the passing game this afternoon for the Bulldogs. Andrew a yard shy of 100 through the air. Hands it off on first down.
Yeah, UD, they're not playing bad though, and that's the thing that's frustrating as a defense is you're getting stops. You're not getting beat over the top. You're keeping everything in front of you. You're making tackles when it's your when it's your call to make a tackle. But it's just those chunk yards, those 5 yards here, those 3 yards there. Those wear you down as a defense, and somebody needs to step up and make a big play here to kind of get the ball back for your offense.
It's an end around, and Dayton reads it well. Eli Kirk leads the stop. The carry by Ethan Loss. 3rd and medium here for the Bulldogs, who can run the clock under 6 minutes to go in the half.
Yeah, great play right there. Great stop by UD's defense. Everybody's flying around. They try to get to the edge, and you didn't let them get outside. You forced the ball back inside to your help. But this right here, this is a big down. I think this is the biggest down of the half right here to get a stop right here to get them 4th down.
3rd down and 5. Handoff up the middle. Charlie Spigal has the first down. The Indiana kid who started his career at IU, playing here at Butler after a couple seasons at Ball State. He's been getting the ball a little less in Pioneer League play. First time we've seen him get a touch on the ground today, and he moves the chains. Yeah,
that was just a powerful run right up the middle to get the yards you need. And once again, if they need 6 yards, they get 7, right? They're just marching down the field, and they're kind of dominating the line of scrimmage at this point of this game.
That rather couple carries already for Spigal, but his biggest carry by far of the day. And now a move down the middle as a flag comes in the secondary. Archie Cox, the intended target, but he was heavily impeded, it appeared.
Yeah, it looks like he was hand fighting right there to keep him from getting over the top of him.
Pass interference, defense number 33, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, UD, they've been penalized a little bit this season, and that's one thing that you want to control, right? You don't want to give up a lot of more yardage, extra yardage than you have to, and especially when Butler's been driving down the field like they have been, that's a critical play right there to where you don't want to see that happen, and that's something that you have to clean up in film, making sure your guy's in the right position. But who knows? He could have did that. It looked like it was a good throw. That probably prevented a touchdown, right? He was over the top of him, and he kind of was able to, okay, let me get a PI and let's live to play another down.
So it moves Butler into the red zone, and a complete fire drill as it's checked down. And Cameron Heald is dropped. He does get across the line of scrimmage and actually gains 3 yards there. But Andrew gets rid of that quickly and avoids the disaster play for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, great right there. I think that's Joe Kingsbury with the tackle right there. It looked like there was a screen away, and he read the screen perfectly. Everything was going to one side of the field, and he was the only guy back there that was able to make a play. And that's film study. That's reading your keys. And that's what you need out of a star player to make those plays in crucial downs, and it brings up 2nd down and long.
2 quarterbacks on the field. Andrews lined up out wide. Pacini takes the snap. He fakes the flip to Andrew, and he stumbles in the backfield. So the turf monster gets in the way of that trick play for the Bulldogs, and it's 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, they're trying everything right here. You got 2 quarterbacks there. You run one in motion, kind of do a fake to him and keep the outside. He slipped there. He had a little crease there, but that's what you needed from UD, though. You need a couple breaks like that. You need somebody who can come in there and make a stop when you need. But now they've had third down plenty of times this game, and so UD needs to come up and step up, and somebody needs to make a play. This is when you're coaching. Somebody has to step up and make a play for us right now.
Already the 9th try on third down for the Bulldog offense. They've converted 5 previous times. They go to the end zone, and it's hauled in. Archie Cox goes up high and comes down with the football to pull Butler back in front.
Great pass. You go into the pylon. And that was honestly really solid coverage, too. That was one of those is good coverage, just a better catch. That was great coverage. Defender was right there, made him go over the top of it. And when you're fighting for the ball on the ground, that typically goes to the receiver.
Second touchdown of the year for Cox, his first since the PFL opener against Marist. Ryan Short knocks through the PAT. Butler now 6 of 9 on third down, and that is a job well done by Butler as they take up almost 8 minutes of clock and score the football off an 80-yard drive.
Yeah, you called it earlier. You said if UD's not careful, Butler can take the ball and eat up much of the clock in the second quarter, and that's exactly what they did. They was able to get what they needed off the line of scrimmage. They was able to get the first downs they need. And once again, when your defense is on the field as much as UD's defense has been, you just start to get tired. You start to lose a little bit of focus on key downs, key situations, and you can capitalize on them if you're Butler, and that's what they did.
13 plays, 80 yards, get almost 8 minutes of clock before the catch by Archie Cox. And Reagan Andrew is putting on a show. 9 for 11 for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. 8 rushes for 21 yards on the ground.
Yeah, and if you're UD, this is a crucial down or possession for you. I don't want to say it's a make or break, but you get ball at halftime. But you have to put points on the board on this drive, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a touchdown. You have to put points on the board to slow down Butler's offense and give your defense time to break.
Inside that middle 8. Final 4 of the first half. And Dayton starts from the 25-yard line. So far, Schondelmeyer, 7 for 11 for 69 yards and a touchdown. Hasn't come right off the jump like we've been used to seeing at times for the Flyer offense this season, but really built towards a lot of positive things and then had a couple crucial plays towards the end of that last drive to punch it in the end zone. And now you've got a 3.5-minute drill to try and get some points before half. Again, it's Dayton ball coming out of the locker room. Team still with their full complement of timeouts. First down run for Hackett. And he drives forward to the 28.
Yeah, they was able to have some success on the last drive with passing, whether it was right down the seam in this cover 2 defense that they're running, or if it's down the sideline. But you need to kind of get some momentum going, right? You need to get your guys in position of success, get the ball to your playmakers in their hands, and let them do what they do best.
Empty for Schondelmeyer. To the outside, it's caught by Thulin.
Great blitz recognition right there. Great blitz pickup. He went to empty. Schondelmeyer had somebody right there, and they say replace the blitz with the pass, if you will. So when you see the blitzer coming, there's somebody open right behind them because that's a space that was just voided right there. So he was able to make a quick completion right there and get the first down and move the chains. Well, not move the chain, sorry. It's still third down.
Yeah, it got awfully close. 3rd down and 1. First catch of the game for Thulin, who had 3 receptions last week, a season high. Flyers are 2 for 5 on 3rd down. They give it to Hansen. He's got speed, and the edge set perfectly for him as he physically runs up to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, he runs hard. He runs the ball hard. And when you have a running back that can get you a couple yards, get you those tough yards, it makes it tough on the defense because sometimes you have especially on a DB like that, sometimes you don't want to tackle that guy all game, right? So you don't want to keep going up and hitting him and having to make a tackle. So that puts some confidence in your offense right there that you can get the first downs.
Dayton does not get the snap off, and
This
we've
is a
reached the
2-minute
2-minute timeout. So Flyer offense set up with a fresh set of downs. They're close to midfield. They've still got all 3 timeouts. You can pretty much do whatever you want for the moment.
Yeah, you can, but I think right now, because you get the ball at half, right? So you definitely don't want to give Butler back to football, but also you want to. I would love to see a sense of urgency out of UD, a sense of urgency, whether it's no huddle, whether it's running up to the ball, 2-minute drill. Obviously, it's under 2 minutes, but get some type of urgency. Try to create some momentum and get some points on the board. But also, you're in a weird position because you don't want to score too fast. Obviously, you're going to score. That's going to be great, right? But you want to make sure you control the clock and not get Butler back the ball, and you can get 2 possessions right back to back.
No surprise, the Bulldogs have had the ball for most of the first half, about 17 minutes of possession for Butler. For Dayton, they closed things out with some major fireworks in their last home game as they walked off the first half with an Ethan Ferenzi interception return touchdown that went 100 yards. But hear coaches talk all the time about that middle 8, and it's been good for the first half. It's been not so good for the second half for Dayton. The third quarter has really been the most difficult part of the game for them this season. We saw a couple weeks ago a huge lead against Morehead State disappear. Dayton ultimately got a late touchdown to win it. Last week, a little bit of a different story. They felt like they played a more complete game, but Dayton did not score in the second half against Valpo, albeit a lot of second stringers were in for most of that second half. Schondelmeyer faces pressure, running for his life. He throws off his back foot, incomplete. He took a big shot in the process as a couple of DBs were coming in.
Yeah, but you alluded to it, and if you
Personal
have
foul for intentional grounding, the quarterback was outside the pocket. Second down.
okay, there's no foul. But when you have championship aspirations as UD does, you need to put together 4 good quarters of football on all phases, right? And a lot of times what happens is special teams, the defense will play well, offense will be slacking, or vice versa, right? So you need all 3 phases to play well, all 4 quarters for you to have that chance to win a championship like you want.
Laco. A little bit of room. Clock continues to run. Chess match between these 2 coaches. Dayton's not in a huge hurry. Schondelmeyer's favoring his right shoulder, and he heads off. He's going right over to the trainer. That might have happened on the previous play when he, again, took a big shot throwing the ball away. So Dayton brings in Drew Van Fleet, the backup quarterback who did get a couple of passing attempts last week. Van Fleet 4 for 7 through the air on the season for 51 yards and a touchdown. But again, he was Dayton's primary starter last year. There was a ton of movement up front there.
Like a false start.
Dayton's going to be pushed back.
Yeah, it looked like Schondelmeyer, he got up a little slow after that hit on the sideline, so that could be what his shoulder, favoring his shoulder. But when you have, maybe come in here and he's knows the offense, but you can't jump off sides right there if that's what the call is in that situation.
It's third down, meanwhile, for the Flyers, and Butler's still got all their timeouts. Long discussion. They might pick this up, actually.
False start. Offense. Butler has chosen to not have a 10-second runoff on this play. It'll be 5-yard penalty. Clock will start on the snap.
Rather, that was what the discussion was about. So you can see both these coaches playing the clock management game here, and that's an indication of what Kevin Lynch thinks about this first half. He still thinks there's more in the tank for his team as Dayton's pushed behind the sticks.
Yeah, that's one you do not want. That's probably worst case scenario other than a turnover at that point is false start, getting pushed back on third down and putting your offense in a tough position to get a first down and continue this drive.
And Fleet gives it to the outside for Laco. Dayton's sideline wanted a face mask as first defender, that was Zanoha, went flying by, but Laco only gets a couple of yards. And Laco ended up out of bounds there, it looks like. So the clock stops, and Butler keeps all of their timeouts. And Dayton has to punt.
That's That's unfortunate. That's what you do not want from UD's offense. You did not want to give Butler back the ball. You wanted to take more time, or you tried to, but they give them back the ball with a minute left, and that's a tough situation to be in and put your defense in.
Logan Forkham boots it away. Looked like that ball got stung by the wind as it just stopped in midair. It falls well short of the returner, Nick Munson. And Dayton plays it at the 34-yard line. So just under a minute to play. Butler's offense comes back out on the field with all 3 of their timeouts. Ryan Short, their kicker, is very, very reliable from short distance. But did hit his season-long 41 last week. So you're looking at around the 24, 25-yard line if you want points on the board before half.
Yeah, they still got the timeouts, and this is one that, as UD, this is the one you have to make a stand, right? If at worst, give them 3 points and get into halftime. At worst, you have to think a field goal.
Dayton rushes 3. Andrew steps up and throws a dangerous ball over the middle, and Munson got twisted around, but the ball falls incomplete.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. At best, you're thinking give them a field goal, right? You want to keep on the field. The best they could do is get a field goal, get off the field, get your offense, time and ball after the second quarter.
Second down for the Butler offense. Just the 3rd incompletion of the half for Reagan Andrew. St. Louis native, former Missouri Offensive Player of the Year. Again faces a 3-man rush, gets rid of it, and Loss gets into the open field. Loss accelerates around the outside and got out of bounds with 44 seconds remaining. 3rd down coming up for Butler as Loss came up just short of the sticks. They need about a yard.
Yeah, and once again, this is just where they feel comfortable at. Even though you got 44 seconds left on the clock, they're marching the ball down the field. 3rd down, they have their timeouts. He was able to get out of bounds, which is a great play, IQ play on his part to stop the clock. So they're functioning in all cylinders, and they have a lot of confidence right now going into this drive. And UD has to step up and, bend but don't break.
Andrew to the near side, and Loss hauls it in. Butler has had their way on some crucial shots down the field. They go quick with it, and Andrew runs it himself across the 35-yard line, and Butler spends their first timeout.
Yeah, it looks like that play right there, they caught UD kind of sleeping on that play. After the big pass play, UD didn't get set, and they was able to kind of steal a play right there. But that deep ball right there that they threw.
Timeout, Butler, your 30-second timeout. Please reset the game clock to 28 seconds, 2-8.
Yeah, that's tough to defend. They scored on it on the first touchdown, the kind of back shoulder kind of fade. You get the guy one-on-one on the defender down the field, and that's tough as a defender because when you're playing such good defense, and the receiver just stops on, like kind of on a dime, you tend to overplay that because you think they're going to continue to run, right? And so that's a great play call, but that takes timing and that takes rhythm, and right now Butler's clicking on all cylinders when it comes to the offensive side.
Ethan Loss with 3 catches for 93 yards. He was the one who scored on that exact same route earlier on in the half. 2-time All-League selection. Sets Butler up about 10 yards from field goal range. 28 seconds remain. Still 2 timeouts for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, if you're Butler's offense, this is exactly how you draw it up. This is exactly what you want. Marching down the field, clock management is where you need it to be. Quarterbacks playing poise. So you're happy with this drive.
Andrew steps up and finds his tight end. That's Brady Preston, who gallops out of bounds.
Looks like they got away with a hold right there on a defender was right in the quarterback's face, and offensive line either did a great job of pushing him upfield or they got away with one, but once again, they moved the chains.
Yeah, we're on the Flyer, both sideline and fan section side, and there was an uproar. You're right on the edge of field goal range here. You need just 1 yard to get to the season long for Ryan Short. Do have pretty heavy wind at your back in this half, though, if you're Butler, as Andrew steps up and throws that out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart play right there. If you don't have nothing, throw it out of bounds and kill the clock. But they still have 2 timeouts left, and they still can run 2, maybe possibly 3 plays, depending on how fast they get it out. They throw passes, or you just take the field goal, run to whatever side your kicker feels comfortable with, take a timeout, get them the field goal, and get off the field.
Andrew to the outside, just not in the area for Nick Munson. Got a shove from Sam Schmiesing on the end of that as well.
Yeah, that's one of those, if it's there, you complete it. If not, throw it away, right? You just want to secure 3 points here if you're Butler. If you can get a chance at a touchdown, try to take it because you do have 2 timeouts. But if not, get as many yards as you can, kill the clock, and get the field goal unit out there. But if you're UD, you are a little disappointed that they was able to drive down the field, but you'll be happy to keep them for a field goal.
Right down the right side for Caldwell. It's a few yards. And Kevin Lynch is going to bring this all the way down. Timeout with 2 seconds remaining. This is not a chip shot for Ryan Short. Dayton's defense bends, but at least forces a pretty long one.
Butler, be a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, you force them to it's not a give me, right? You force them to have to hit, and then depending on the wind looks like it's at their back, but swirling a little bit, but that can play a factor as well in the kick. And so if you're UD, you just want to get into halftime, make the corrections, make sure quarterback is fine, make sure he's healthy and back and able to play. But you just want to get off the field, make the corrections, and then use that time to get your guys back in the game plan.
Ryan Short, 7 of 8 this year. Hit his season long again, 41 last week. Last year he had 4 misses. 3 of them came from 40-plus. This is a 41-yarder.
UD was close to blocking a couple of the extra points, so let's see if they send some people here.
Jaron Alley, the backup quarterback, holds. Snap and hold clean. Line drive kick, but it lasers through. And Butler gets a crucial 3 points headed into half as they take a 2-score lead.
That's the end of the first half.
17-7, the Bulldogs go in front on the road, and they head into the locker room with the advantage. Overall, both these teams felt each other out early in the game, but Butler with the slight edge in terms of explosives. They converted at a really high clip on some important downs like they usually do, and for a Dayton team that kind of had to grow into the first half, this third quarter coming up has got to be your best of the year.
Yeah. This is where you see what your team's made of, right? Your offense hasn't had as many possessions as you would like. They haven't had the offensive explosive power like they had in the last couple of games. So you're right. This third quarter coming up is very crucial just to see where their mindset is. And like I said, if you're trying to build a championship caliber team, these are the quarters when you don't historically have a good third quarter to come out and play well.
17-7 our halftime score. Josh and I back in just a little bit. Until then, enjoy the band.
Someday, soon, I will find you. Even if for now, we go our separate ways.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pride of Dayton.
That was very cool, man. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we'll do it. Definitely.
Flyer fans, at this time we ask that you please direct your attention to the field as we recognize our 1980 and 1997 UD football alumni who are in attendance today. First, from the class of 1980, Nick Cugliari, Ronald Flore, Mark Frattis, Tom Hayner, Mark Herr, Dennis Coper, Michael Pignatello, Grady Pruitt, John Vort, and John Brunswick. Now from the class of 97, Jesse Beharry, Jeff Bishop, Joe Cutler, Chad Duff, Mark Martin, Andy McKelvey, Matt Moore, Nick Verasto, Jeff Matthews, Mike Glassmeyer, Mike Stilsky, Gary McKinley, and Jonathan Zimmerman. Thank you for joining us, and as always, go Flyers!
Second half coming up here from Welcome Stadium with the score Butler 17 and Dayton 7. Alongside Josh Copeland, Luke Westpoli with you. And Josh, you could tell there was an emphasis. Both teams tried to lean into their strengths, but one executed a little better than the other did. 7 third down conversions for Butler, and they held the ball for the bulk of that first half. And credit to these Bulldogs, really did all the little things they've done well all season. Throughout the first, they got a 2-score lead.
Yeah, they controlled the ball very well. They was able to convert on third downs like we talked about. But it was, I think the final drive of the second half was a tell of how the whole game was going, right? UD had the ball. They had some time left on the clock with some penalties, and quarterback went hurt. He got out the game. So they didn't manage the clock extremely well for that possession. Butler was able to get the ball back with time left on the clock, get a field goal, continue keep their lead. So that's been kind of the way the game is going. But yeah, look for UD to come out. I think they're going to come out blazing. Guns are blazing, right? You talked about their third quarter hasn't been the best this season, but now this is what you want out of a team that has a chance, has championship caliber players and a championship caliber mindset. So you're going to want your team to come back and respond very well this third quarter.
We're unsure going into the locker room about the status of Bryce Schondelmeyer, who was rolling out to his right and threw the ball away, took a hit. He actually stayed in the game for another play, but then was holding his arm and had to come off. And it looks like right now that Drew Van Fleet is going to be the guy for Dayton in this second half, as he was out taking the warm-up tosses. Flyers are set to get the ball first to start the second half, and they will rely on, again, call him the QB2, the backup if you want, but this is not a typical quarterback hurt situation. If there's any team that is capable of dealing with something like this, it is Dayton, as Drew Van Fleet was the full-time starter for the final few games of the 2023 season and then all of last year. And lost out on the starting job to Bryce Schondelmeyer, who transferred in from Youngstown State. But remember, going into that first home game of the year, Trevor Andrews said Drew Van Fleet was very ready, not necessarily even if, but when that opportunity would present itself for him to come into a football game. And we've seen them use him periodically for some different packages and in some late blowouts. But he's got his chance now to shine for the first time, it appears, as Dayton gets the ball down 2 scores in a rivalry game, the 50th all-time meeting between the Dayton Flyers and the Butler Bulldogs. Dayton starts off from the 25.
Yeah, and we have Van Fleet coming in. He's a guy who's seasoned, like you said, he's battle tested. So you have full confidence in him in the offense that he can pick up with no drop off there. And the players believe in him because he's been that guy for a while. So this is his chance right here to show that, hey, I'm still him, right? Like you want to show that, hey, I'm still the guy that you can rely on when you need, and we can still keep this train moving in the right direction.
Van Fleet, the Indiana native from Richmond, east of Indianapolis, won a state title in high school, was an all-state selection. And he drops back for his second passing attempt, and it's batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, great pressure right there by Butler's defense, and they actually had a receiver wide open there. I made the right read. Just when you're taught as a defensive lineman or the run linebacker, if you're blitzing, if you can't get there, put your hands up, right? Make it hard for the quarterback to see, make it hard for him to get the ball through, and that's exactly what they did there. But I like the play call. Come out throwing, get the ball in the hands of your guys, and put some scores up real early if you can.
Fleet was the starter in this game last year, went 11 of 14 for 137 yards and 3 touchdowns. If you talk about that pressure, he was sacked often throughout that game, 4 times total in last year's meeting. Hackett goes around the edge, but he's worked all the way to the boundary by this Butler front and only gets a yard 3rd down and 9 coming up for the Flyers.
Yeah, Butler's defense, they're playing extremely well. They're fired up. Their coach got them excited in the locker room talking about, hey, we can keep them where we want to. So they've been flying around these first 2 plays of the drive. But if you're Dayton and Van Fleet, you need to convert here. You need to get a play down. You need, whether you get 10 yards or 11, you need to get a first down here to continue this drive.
7 3rd down tries for Dayton. They converted 3 times in the first half. Time for Van Fleet. Now the pocket collapses. He throws into a tight space over the middle. Masseri nearly got to it, but he was surrounded by defenders, and it's incomplete.
Yeah, that was a great coverage right there by Butler. That's a play that UD hit on for the touchdown that kind of seamed the post and right there in the middle of the seam, but Butler covered it very well. They had 3 or 4 people around them. So that's not what you want as UD to come out 3 and out and get the ball back to Butler. But you come out blazing, right? They came out throwing the ball, and that's what you kind of want to do, and that's what they seem like they're going to do for this, their tone for the second half, let's say.
Logan Forcum boots this away, and Nick Munson lets it go. Takes a Flyer bounce down to the 35-yard line. Now the Butler offense has a chance to really get their foot on the gas here. Got a late field goal as time expired in the first half to take a 2-score lead. We have seen the Bulldogs take up over 8 minutes of clock before, and remember again, last week against Presbyterian had the ball for almost the entire 3rd quarter. They force a quick 3 and out, and the Bulldog offense back out onto the field. Reagan Andrew in the first half, 12 for 17. Bulk of those incompletions came late in the first half prior to that field goal. 153 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. He's also their leading rusher with 27 yards on the ground on 9 attempts.
Yeah, he's playing extremely well for being the dual threat quarterback that he is.
Takes the pitch, and Andrew keeps. He lowers his shoulder, gets spun around at the 36, 37-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, when your defense can come out and UD goes 3 and out, it's really like you get the ball to start the game and then you get it at half, right? So you get to kind of start both halves with the ball kind of because you only had 3 plays without it, right, to start the half. So you definitely want to look to continue what you did in the first half. If you're a coach, you tell them, hey, let's just continue to do what we do. Let's play our game, and let's continue to control the clock and not rush.
They bring the play clock to 10. Bit of a bad snap, but Andrew makes a nice snag to hold on to it, keeps it himself, and gets piled up on after picking up about 4 yards and sets up another manageable 3rd down. And you just wonder, Andrew, clearly a tough kid. He welcomes that contact, but as this game wears along, wonder how worn out he gets, just taking hits seemingly on every play.
Yeah, it's tough when you're a dual threat quarterback and you run because they're going to be designed runs for you anyway. But on plays like that where it's a bobble snap or if they're passing and nobody's open, you're just taking unnecessarily hits and you're taking extra hits. And you're right. How long can you stay like that throughout the game and the season?
Again, Andrew, 60 touches between the passing and running game last week. This time the run goes nowhere, and that is a huge stop for the Flyer defensive front. Brandon Martin leads the charge. Trevor Andrews highlighted him midweek, said he's a guy that's really turned into an every down type of player this year. Went through some extra workouts twice a day on Fridays last year, has added some strength, and Dayton gets a massive 3rd down stop to get their offense back on the field.
That's a big stop right there. That's a big stop, especially how Butler was able to control the ball in the first half. So that's what you want to see. You give a 3 and out on offense, you get the ball back, and you want to make sure that your guys get in position to have a good second half.
This is a good punt by Short. It's fielded inside the 5-yard line and spun around by Paul Kelly out to around the 12.
And that's one of those. Those are one of those that's like a lapse of judgment right there because everything's telling you just let that ball go in the end zone, right? You don't necessarily want to field it inside the 5-yard line unless you absolutely have to. And so those are little things, though, right, that are overlooked in the moment, but now you made your offense travel just a little bit further right, to get the touchdown or to score. So those are little things to keep an eye on throughout the game that, you know, can be changed and corrected in film, but they make a difference.
Second full-length drive for Van Fleet. Handoff, and Hansen bulldozes for a first down and more. He rides with Will Mason on his left arm all the way across the 30-yard line.
That's such a great run, and that's he's a hard guy to bring down one-on-one. And when you can run through, they tell you run through the face of somebody, that's exactly what he did. He reminds me of those NFL Network, the angry runs, right? Like he angry run right there. He ran the ball very angry right there for the first down.
Hansen up to 79 yards. They give it to him again, and he's wrapped up in the backfield.
But yeah, when you run that hard, once again, it's tough to bring you down one-on-one, especially if you get isolated on a corner, right, or a DB. They don't want to come down and hit all the time. So when they get that opportunity, you want to make sure that they feel it to where, hey, I don't want to tackle this guy all game, coach. Like, bring somebody else out there, make some type of other adjustment, because they don't want one-on-one with him.
TFL by Tyson Garrett sets up 2nd and 12. Laco on the handoff. Laco, a burst of speed, cuts it across. Laco brought down by the last line of defense. Jeremiah Jackson prevented a touchdown, but Laco with another explosive for the Dayton offense.
That's the Swiss Army knife right there. He's able to see a crease, and he's so fast. He hits the crease right there, makes a couple guys miss. And when you get him in open field, it's hard to tackle. So when you can get those chunk yardages and they turn into big plays, that's very exciting for UD's offense.
They give it to him again. Laco gets a bubble this time for a couple yards.
Yeah, and that's all you want, right? You want to take a page, I don't want to say out of Butler's book, but this is a drive that you're just taking what the defense gives you. If they give you 3 yards, you take 3 yards. And if you take 3 yards and you make a guy miss, that turns into 7 to 10 to 12, like the long run there. And so they came out trying to pass the ball. They got stopped a little bit, but they're having a lot of success with the run game on this drive.
76 all-purpose yards for Laco through the air and on the ground so far. Hansen back in as the tailback. They give it to him. And Hansen powers across the 35-yard line with another physical run.
Yeah, they have between Laco and Hansen, they have a good kind of two-headed monster, if you will, thunder and lightning, right? You have the speed and you have the power, and that makes it tough as a defender because you don't know how they're going to attack you. If you're a defender and you got somebody who's fast, you're trying to not get beat outside, but then you also have somebody who can run kind of right through you, and that makes it tough to kind of defend.
3rd down and short. One-on-one for Masseri on the near side of your screen. Keep an eye on that. Instead, they go on the ground, and the line just parts for Luke Hansen for an easy first down.
Yeah, it looked like their halftime adjustment that the coach kind of got on the old line. Hey, we have to push them off the ball.
The defense have to go out. Their helmets came off.
Yeah, it looks like they say, hey, we have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides, right? He kind of got pushed around in the first half. Butler was able to convert some crucial 3rd downs, but now this half, you're like, hey, let's do what we do best. Let's control the line of scrimmage and let's get some positive yards on every play.
Fresh set of downs for Dayton. Hansen again, just got all the room in the world right now to run the football. He gets 8.
Yeah, and Butler's getting a little antsy. They almost jumped off sides on there. They're getting a little antsy, and that's what happens kind of when you're marching down the field. As a defender, you kind of get rushed to like, hey, let's make a stop right now, right? So you get a little excited. You try to make that play instead of allowing the play to happen. You try to force it, and in doing so, you make some crucial mistakes. So they was lucky to get back on defense on that one, but that might come back to a hard count here in a little bit.
Give to Hansen again, and he picks up the first down to the 15. The Indianapolis native against his hometown squad, over 100 yards on the ground today.
Yeah, I mean, you got him running the ball like he's running. Van Fleet looks like he has full control of the offense. He's, stepped in there. He knows what pressure is, and he's played in this game before, so he knows the magnitude of the moment. So they look really poised and calm in this drive.
Hansen lines up out wide this time. Van Vliet over the middle, and Laco just couldn't get there, a little bit high.
Yeah, that was a great read, but when you're in the red zone, the ball happens a lot faster, right? The play happens a lot faster, and you don't have that same amount of room to kind of throw it right over the top, right? When you're in the middle of the field and you run that same play, you have room enough to flit it over the linebacker in between the safety. When it's in the red zone, that happens so fast, so that window kind of closes on them. But that was a great read. Just look for it to bring it down just a little bit, and that's a completion.
They go to All Reliable. And Hansen stopped up this time after a short game. Hansen just turned into Dayton's feature back this year. He leads the team in rushing by just 1 yard over his partner Mason Hackett, but second on the team in rushing the last couple years. This has been the strongest campaign in his junior season. But how about averaging 5.6 yards per carry this year? That is best in his career. And he has really shown that ability to get chunk runs today. Dayton faces a third down with Hansen in as the back. They fake it to him. Van Vliet to the end zone. Laco hauled down. There's the flag.
Yeah, it was fighting the whole way there. To go back to Hansen for a second, you said 5 yards a carry. The receivers have what they call yak yards, right? Yards after contact, and that's what Hansen does very well. He doesn't go down easy with one person. He has a lot of after contact.
Defense number 0.
He's pushing his feet, so he's getting a lot of those yards.
2-yard line, automatic first down.
That's tough to defend when you get a guy who's playing, gets 5 yards a touch.
Certainly. Penalties against Peyton Daniels, who's in for one of the regular corners, Steven Stephanie. One of the top DBs for Butler, not in the lineup today. And Daniels slots in as the replacement. PI in the end zone sets Dayton up at the 2-yard line.
And we'll see what UD calls up, but I don't see them going too far from Hansen. Just give it to him, the Marshawn Lynch effect, right? Give it to him until he brings you home.
Big boys up front. He's got it. And Butler rallies to the football. Hansen stopped for a 1-yard loss.
That's good penetration by Butler's defensive line. Everybody knew in the stadium, knew who the ball was going to, right? And so when you have that, it's mano a mano. We know where the ball's going. See if you can stop it. They did a great job there, but I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go too far from that because he's had a great drive.
This is a Butler team that has prided itself on red zone, one of the best teams in the nation in both red zone offense and defense last couple seasons. Give to Hansen again, tries to go around the edge. He's brought down. Big time stop by Tyson Garrett to make the shoestring tackle. It's 3rd and goal.
That's a great play by Butler's defense right there. You get some penetration through the line of scrimmage right away. You get flat, run down the line of scrimmage, make a tackle, stop a score. So this is going to be interesting, right? What does UD do? Do they keep kind of riding the horse that got you there, or do they do something different on 3rd down, knowing that you're right in field goal range?
This drive has gone 82 yards so far. Dayton has not shied away from Hansen yet inside the 5. They fake it to him this time. Van Vliet off his back foot, connects. Donovan Weatherly, touchdown Flyers.
Great play call right there. You had one-on-one with him to the outside. He runs a little stick nod, fakes inside, and then bursts back outside. You have all the sideline to work with. Great play, and great also patience by Van Vliet to let the guy get out there, right? Let the play develop and not panic and rush with defenders in your face.
Weatherly has been that guy inside the red zone for Dayton. That's now 4 games in a row with a touchdown catch for him after not appearing in any of Dayton's non-conference action. For Weatherly, he's got just 10 catches on the year. 4 of them now, rather, have gone for touchdowns.
Hey, if you want to be the touchdown guy, that's not a bad thing to be, right? When you need a completion, when you need somebody in the end zone, you know you can count on him.
So with under 5 to go, a big-time scorer for the Flyers who go nearly 90 yards. And Dayton now within a score once again. And this game came right down to the wire last year. It feels like we're destined for a similar type of deal. Dayton led for most of the game last season before Butler tied it late. Flyers took the lead for good off a touchdown with 11 seconds remaining out in Indy last year.
Yeah, what you said, they've been playing for 50 years, right? So it's the 50th meeting, and so that's you know the team very well, right? And you know that, hey, this is going to be a dogfight every time we play. These two teams meet, no matter who's at quarterback, no matter who's the coach. You just have some built-in games that you just know are going to come down to the wire.
A lot of pride on the line between 2 head coaches that know these programs very well. They're both pretty early in their tenures, but Trevor Andrews has been around Dayton for a while. He played here, and of course, the Lynch family synonymous with Butler football. Back to the Bulldog offense. They'll start at the 25. And we finally saw Dayton, really for the first time since the opening drive of the game, just step up and get a crucial stop on defense without
41 seconds.
a whole lot of movement on the other side. As Butler's stacked first downs, even on the drives where they haven't scored, they've moved the chains a couple times and flipped the field.
Yeah, that was a great way for UD's offense and Van Fleet to come out here and take control of the game, right? It's take control, take it back, and let them know, hey, we can march down the field, we can give our defense a break, and we can get some points on the board.
Hand off to Caldwell, and he gets to the 30-yard line.
But once again, this is what Butler, this is their identity as an offense, right? This is one of those that, hey, no matter what you do, we're still going to stick to what we do. We're going to get 5 yards here. We're going to get 3 yards there. We're going to get 4 yards and move the chain. So they're not panicking at all, and they know that they could possibly run out the clock, in the rest of this quarter if they play their game. But as UD, you want to get a stop right here and get your offense back the ball to continue that momentum.
Andrew looking for it all. He's got his man. Flag in the secondary inside the 5 for Archie Cox.
That's one of those that could go either way. There was a lot of hand fighting on there from the defender and Cox, so we will see which way they call this.
Nobody's moving back yet.
Pass interference, defense number 23. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, first down.
It's against Josh Williams in coverage for Dayton. And Archie Cox, who had a touchdown catch earlier, gives Butler a 67-yard grab. They've had 2 catches of that length in this game.
Yeah, that's one of those we go back to the boxing analogy, right? When you throwing jabs, and every once in a while you throw a nice haymaker, and that's a long completion that puts UD on the ropes. And right now they need to buckle down and just play one play at a time. Let's just stop them this play right here. That's what you're telling your defense if you're the coach.
Stack in the box. Andrew hands it off on the left side. Spigal gets stopped at or around the line of scrimmage. 2nd and goal coming up. Yeah,
that's a great penetration right there by D-line. But once again, when you after a big play, especially something that's down and you're down inside the 3-yard line, you just, hey, let's just do our job this play. Let's worry about everything else later, but do our job on this play and stop them here. And if you're Butler, you're like, hey, we got a chance to put 6 more on the board. You had to capitalize.
Delayed handoff. Ball reaching ahead, got a couple of yards, but still short.
Well, yeah, that's once again great defense. Just do your job and do it well for this play. Make sure you capitalize on every rep. And so now this is a similar situation to what UD was in on the last drive, right? You got 3rd and short on the goal line. What do you call up? 2 straight runs that are stopped. Do you continue with the run and try to just make it to 4-down territory and see what you can do, or do you try to wrinkle in something and get the touchdown?
They fake it. Andrew looking, swallowed up. Mirko Jakšić again gets to the quarterback for the Flyers, and it's 4th down. The field goal unit comes on.
That's a big defensive stop right there for UD. Big defensive play there. You had them. You stopped them on 2 straight runs. They try to do a play action. You cover it extremely well. You're disciplined with your keys, and you get your time for your D-line to go in and make a sack. Crucial sack. Great all-around play by UD's defense.
Both sacks by Jakšić, and now Ryan Short comes on to attempt from 28. And he got it. So that puts a slight damper on things from the Dayton perspective. Butler blazes down the field, but your defense digs their heels in, and you stay within a score in the late stages of the 3rd.
Yeah. You're disappointed in the pass interference. Once again, we talk about penalties and controlling those and minimizing those, but you're happy with the way your defense responded after a big play, right? Because it's so easy to get down inside the end zone, the red zone, get 3 yards, and you're like, okay, well, just concede a touchdown, but you wanted your guys to show fight and put up a good stop, and that's exactly what they did. So now you get your offense back, who had a lot of momentum going in, and you're only 1 score down, so you can definitely have a lot of time to kind of make that happen.
Dayton offense set to get the ball back. Again, it's Drew Van Vliet in at quarterback for the Flyers after an apparent throwing shoulder injury for Bryce Schondelmeyer, who was not returned after taking a hit on the last drive of the first half. Touchback over Laco's head, and the Dayton offense returns to the field. But again, Dayton has really grown into this game from an offensive standpoint very nicely. It feels like they continue to build, and as long as that upward trajectory continues, you're pretty much fine with where you're at in this game.
Yeah. There's no panic at all. There's no kind of rush to kind of feel like you have to score. You can kind of still play your game. The call sheet's still wide open. Van Vliet is in there. He has control of the offense. He's been the guy for, last year and the year prior, so he knows what he's doing. You have complete confidence in him.
Give to Hansen on 1st down. Hansen goes for about a yard. Again, Hansen, an Indianapolis native from Roncalli High School, state champions in 2020. Had a very good high school career. He was the Indiana Preps Offensive Player of the Year in 2022 when he led the state in rushing. He's a good high school wrestler in Indiana as well.
You can tell you can tell he's a wrestler. His body leverage is he plays that level so well, and he gets down and he's hard to bring down.
They call his number again. And a ton of white jerseys in front of him. He somehow stayed in bounds there and made something out of that. See how much they give him. Only about 2 yards, but sets up about a 3rd down and 7 for Dayton's offense. They don't have to run another play in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, I mean, he just runs the ball so hard, and I say it over and over again, but as a DB, if you got to tackle a running back one-on-one, you don't want to do that all game, and that's what they've been doing. They've been getting him out on the edge, and that's when you get those 2 yards that should be tackled, you get them to go to 4. You fall forward, and that's what he's really good at.
And Dayton does not run another
It's
play
the
in
end
the
of the
third
third
quarter.
quarter.
So we go to the fourth, and we've got a ball game. Flyers trying to inch back into it, but Butler stays in front for now. The conclusion of this rivalry matchup is on the way here from Welcome Stadium. Fourth quarter coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Also a reminder, the big hoopla and the Dayton Flyers appreciate all active and retired military and veterans in our community. Scan the QR code and submit photos to the Flyers Salute Recognition Wall to honor these individuals and celebrate their service. Photos will be displayed on the video board at Flyer football games, volleyball matches, men's and women's basketball and regular season games as well.
Third down and 7 for Dayton as we start off the fourth quarter. Van Fleet to the near side. It's brought in. First down, catch and run by Dominic Verbancic to get Dayton out to the 45.
Great play call right there. They're in a zone, and the linebacker blows out to the flats, and he's able to hit that slant right as he replaced them. And that's what you coach your receivers to do. If you know it's a zone, replace the guy that's moving and leaving. And Van Fleet read it perfectly and was able to get to completion.
First catch of the afternoon for Dominic Verbancic. Had a touchdown in the win last week. Trick play. Van Fleet. Nobody open. He checks it down. Flag comes in as Laco's got an escort down the far sideline. Laco inside the 30. We'll check on the flag. Not often that you see a trick play not work out, but it still turns into something positive.
Offense number 25.
And you figured something like that might be on the way.
Yeah,
First down.
when a play takes that long to develop and there's so many layers to it, of course it was a kind of a double reverse pass. They wanted to hit the guy down the middle of the field, but they had the screen backside as a fallback, and that's exactly what it does. But when you have that much time, your linemen you got to stay blocking, right? And so in the time stay blocking, you kind of hold a little bit. Unfortunately, that took back a big completion.
Sari was the intended target of that trick play. He was flying down the near side, but Dayton couldn't find him, and they're brought back by the penalty. Draw for Van Fleet, and he rockets down the right side for about 3 or 4 yards with Dayton set up behind the sticks. Just a reminder, coming up tomorrow, it's an exciting time. We're almost in November, which means it's almost time for Flyer basketball, and Dayton basketball will unofficially get underway tomorrow afternoon as the Flyers will welcome in the Penn State Nittany Lions for an exhibition just across the old parking lot at UD Arena. The game can be found on FanDuel Sports Network affiliates not only in Ohio but throughout the country to open up the season for Flyer basketball. Pitch goes out left to Laco, and he's torn down from behind, and there's the flag. Dayton's going to get a first down out of this.
Yeah, you want to minimize the penalties, but especially on that one, you had a penalty of holding that gives them back yardage, and now you just give it right back to them with that horse collar. But you talked about UD basketball. I want to give a quick shout out to one of the UD basketball greats, Chris Wright. He's doing a lot of great things over in Trotwood. He has a big indoor dome.
For horse collar. The tackle was legal. Third down.
Oh, wow, that's a change of events.
So they pick the flag up.
Wow.
Jeremiah Jackson had some words for the Dayton bench afterwards as well. This might get a little chippy over this final quarter, but that is a bit of a backbreaker for Dayton as that keeps them behind the sticks for third down.
Yeah, that's tough because you're anticipating getting that yardage back.
Van Fleet on the screen. Locko gallops away from a couple, but only gets about half the yards back. It's fourth down for Dayton.
Yeah, that's about all you can do in that situation. Just get as many yards as you can. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Chris Wright. Like I said, he's a UD legend, Hall of Famer. He has an after-school program that he's doing, and it's more than just for athletes. It's for every student that's there. There's education, character, mental health. So if you want to learn more information and support a local legend, go to flightacademy.com.
So Dayton brings out the punt team. Just a drive doomed by one penalty following the trick play. Munson shielding his eyes from the sun back there. Calls for the fair catch and makes it a little bit of a dangerous way as he went airborne, but brings that in at the 10-yard line, 12 minutes remaining, and you already know what Kevin Lynch is thinking here. He wants to run that clock to triple zeros on this drive.
During the kick, holding. Number 52 with the receiving team. Half the distance from the end of the kick. First down, Butler.
So they'll start from the 5 instead of the 10.
And once again, we talked about the penalties being the kind of the Achilles heel, if you will, of UD, right? You get some positive plays, you get a penalty coming back, and you have the one punt where they fielded it in on the 2-yard line, so you make your offense have to drive so much further down the field. So it's one of those things where it's luckily on here it was on Butler, but the penalties in this game are what's going to be a make or break. In such a close game like this, you have to minimize the penalties.
Butler, one of the best teams in the entire nation in terms of penalty yardage and avoiding those penalties. And this afternoon, that is their third penalty. 28 yards in totals. They're backed up to their own 5-yard line to start this drive. Andrew to the outside on the screen. It is caught and run up the far side by Griffin Caldwell, the running back who lines up as a receiver, and he gets the first down.
Yeah, when you're back down there in your own end zone, you want to just get positive yards, and that was a great kind of receiver screen out there. Get the ball in your running back's hands and get a good block and get some positive yards down the field. But if you're UD, you are thinking you have to stop them and not let them eat so much of the clock, because you know the way they control the clock, you might have 1 or 2 possessions left in this game, so you want to make sure you get those as quick as can.
Handoff is smothered.
And that's a great way to do that right there.
They tried the receiver, Jack Waybright, and he's down for a huge loss. All the way back to the 12-yard line.
Yeah, he was able to get penetration, get upfield really quickly, and make a tackle for loss. That's huge. Even though it's still second down, but you get a big tackle for loss on first down, now you are kind of putting Butler in an uncomfortable situation, because they're used to second down, they're used to third down, but they're not used to 2nd and 16, right? So when you can get that, that makes it tough on their offense.
Cam Cope, one of the defensive captains, made the stop. Here comes Andrew, though, and he gets it all back himself and more. He's finally dragged down all the way past the 35-yard line. Matt Grant III made the stop after a gain of 31.
And that's what makes Andrew so difficult to defend, because just when you think you got him where you want him, just when you think you got 2nd and long and they might throw a pass or you try to do a quick run, he's able to get all that yardage back. That just does, having a dual threat quarterback that's efficient on both sides, running and passing, that makes it extremely difficult to defend.
Screen to Caldwell. Spun down after a mid-sized gain.
Looks like we got somebody down. Looked like the blocking receiver got rolled up on.
Injured offensive player.
But yeah, if you're UD, you're taking this moment. Obviously, you want to make sure a young man is okay and that nothing is too terribly hurt with him. But this is the time. It's obviously unofficial timeout, right? So you get a chance to get your guys, regroup them, go back in, focus on what you kind of the corrections you was making at halftime, and just really hone in on, hey, we got under 10 minutes left. Let's get a stop. Let's get our offense a chance to get us back and take a lead in this game.
Michael Nix is the injured party for Butler. Gets himself back to his feet. Under 10 minutes to play. 2nd down and 6 for the Bulldogs, who again have just been masters this year at matriculating first downs little by little. And they've got the edge. And again, Butler can even get a field goal here. The way they hold on to the football, that can make things awfully tough on a Flyer offense that is without their starting quarterback.
Yeah, they play the field position and time of possession very well, right? They always have it in their favor. And you're right, when you have 9 minutes, 40 seconds left to go and you know that you can control the clock and you're up, there's no reason to rush. You can run the play clock down to 5 seconds if you want every time.
Andrew alone. He flings it out for Munson. Gets out of the initial tackle, but the reinforcements arrive. Joe Kingsbury comes in as the second line of defense for Dayton. Stop for no gain, sets up a 3rd down and 6.
That's a great play right there. You go up, you blow up the blocking receiver there. You make him the receiver that's getting the ball go backwards in order to go forward. You know what I mean? And so it's tough when you have to go back a couple yards to get a couple yards forward, but that gives your defense time to get there and the cavalry time to get there. But I think this is the biggest play of the game right here.
Third down and 7. Andrew pressured. Andrew escapes. Still looking. It's caught. First down for Nick Munson. As Dayton tries to punch the ball out, but he holds on to that thing and gets into Flyer territory to silence the Welcome Stadium crowd and move the chains.
That's what makes him so dangerous. He's so elusive back there in the pocket. He reminds me of a little Doug Flutie, right? Back there running around, making things happen with his feet. But when you have a dual threat quarterback like that can extend those broken pass plays and give your offensive receivers time to just sit in the pocket, that makes it extremely difficult to defend over a long period of time.
There's a flag that came in as Butler was lining up.
Dayton, there is no yardage with this penalty. It's just a warning.
So you get one of those, and Dayton's sideline warned. Just over 8 minutes to play, and now this is the new most crucial series of the game because Butler's starting to knock on the door of field goal range if they can pick up the first down. Andrew, it's a draw. Andrew has blockers, and Andrew gets near the sticks. They mark him a yard shy. But man, the centerpiece of this offense, Reagan Andrew, has just done it all today. That's his 14th rushing attempt, 62 yards on the ground in addition to his 250 through the air, and it's 2nd and short for the Bulldog offense.
Yeah, he's in full control of his offense. He's poised, he's calm, he's having a great game so far. And he's one, if you need a couple yards, that's what makes him, I keep saying it, but that's what makes him so tough to defend. When you have a guy like that can run and pass, it's hard to defend.
Handoff goes up the middle, and a first down for the Bulldogs and Keaton Jones.
And the thing that's hard to grasp as a defender and somebody watching is how just kind of demoralizing it is when you think you have a sack, when you think you have him stopped, when you think you have him in 3rd and long, and he extend plays, he makes things happen with his feet, he gets those extra tough yards that gets the first down. That just keeps the defense on the field and that wears you down.
I beg your pardon, rather. That was Spiegel on the carry for Butler. Picks up the first, 6.5 remaining. Andrew flushed, and he's torn down. Colin Ansell into the backfield for the sack.
It's a great play right there. Way to get penetration, get up the field, make a good tackle for a loss. He's been in the backfield a few times this half, and that's what you need. You need a spark. You need somebody that's saying, hey, we're not going to let this happen. I'm not going to give up any yards on my side of the field. And if everybody can do that, now you get those tackle for loss, and everybody's flying to the ball. So, once again, you get 2nd and long and another crucial down for UD.
2nd and 15. Another keeper for Andrew. He got it himself last time. Dayton was ready this time around. It's a couple of those yards back, but it sets the table for 3rd and long.
Yeah, it seemed like that was just a safe play. You know, you have kind of a, in a way, if you're playing for a field goal, you have time of possession, you're getting field goal range. You just have a kind of a free play, if you will. If he breaks one just like he did earlier, you get a 1st down. If not, you just eat the clock, try to get some more yards. If you can get a 1st down, you can. If not, you know, you kick a field goal. But they got to be careful. They're kicking into the wind.
Ferocious headwind that they're driving into right now. Stadium getting loud. Loudest this crowd has been all day. Timeout called by Kevin Lynch.
1st charge timeout. Butler, be a 30-second timeout.
So that settles things down for the moment and extends the drama of the biggest play of the night.
Yeah, I think both teams know the magnitude of this moment, right? I think they understand that this is, I think, what's going to make or break this game, right? You want to, if you're UD, you want to stop them and force them to kick a field goal into this wind. If you're Butler, you're not trying to kick a long field goal into this wind, so you're trying to get as many yards to shorten that field goal, or you're trying to just really get a score. But regardless of what happens on this drive, this play right here, I think UD, if you're UD, you have to say, no matter what happens, we got to get the ball back and we got to score faster when we do.
3rd down and 12. The Bulldogs are 8 for 14. And again, Reagan Andrews' legs make this quite a question mark. We have seen him pick up long 1st downs by himself. Dayton only lines up 3 in the box.
They got trips to the side.
Andrew looks to throw. There he goes. He steps up and runs, and Andrew gets close, but he is short. He does, though, get Butler right on to the edge of field goal range, and now a very difficult decision to be made by Kevin Lynch. Again, we've seen Ryan Short connect from 41, which tied his season long. He's done it in back-to-back weeks. Did that to close out the 1st half, but he did that with this wind blowing at his back. Now with it blowing in the face of the Bulldogs, they keep the offense on the field. See if this is some window dressing.
Yeah,
or Butler's actually going for this.
Try to get them to go off sides and try to get the free 1st down.
They're actually going. They flip it down to the left side, and it's a 1st down.
And, I mean, that's a great play call by Butler. But that's, you get, as a defensive coach and defensive coordinator, you kind of get what you want right there. You know, if they do a quick speed kind of pitch to the outside, you know there's going to be one-on-one with one guy, right? And your guy, you're trusting your guy to make the play. And he kind of got there too quickly and overran the pitch. And that's one that you know is a crucial down. And now you're kind of forced to, you know, make something happen. If you're Butler, you have all the time in the world, right? You can just take your time. You're up. You can take your time and kind of milk this clock.
Officially a forward pass to Waybright for the 1st down. Andrew keeps. But now, like you said, you can take your time, and now you're in comfortable field goal range.
Dayton, be a 30-second timeout.
Flyers did keep all their timeouts. They start using them now.
Yeah, if you're UD, you just want to put as much time on the clock as you need for when your offense gets the ball back. And if you're Butler, you're right. You're up a score. You're in field goal range. If you kick the field goal, now you're 2 scores. So you're in no rush for anything right now. You know, Andrew has complete control of the offense. He can make plays with his feet. So you're just literally, hey, ball's in your hands now, and you kind of do what you do best. And, you don't have to snap the ball, like I said, until 5 seconds, if anything, on the play clock.
Second down and around 6 for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, if you're UD now, this is when they've already started trying to punch at the ball, but now you're trying to force a turnover. Get the ball, get somebody to fumble, play really hard, and hold them up.
Andrew keeps it. And again, this front has just gotten that push on this drive that looks like it doesn't go anywhere, but it's actually about a 3-yard pickup for Andrew and gets Butler close to the line to gain. Dayton spends their second timeout.
Second charge, timeout. Dayton, please reset the game clock to 3:11, 3:11.
3:11 to play, third down and 4 for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, but you're right. Butler, it doesn't look like they get much yards. They run kind of into the middle and they get pushed back, but the forward momentum gets stopped at 3 or 4 yards, and that's what they're okay with. And I think this game showed Butler showed that they're okay playing their style of game, right? They're not going to come out of and do anything that they haven't practiced. They're not going to do anything out of character. They're going to take those 3 or 4 yards and just make you kind of stop them. And if you're UD, you kind of just run out of possessions, right? You didn't get the ball as many times as you had hoped, and so you need your defense to get a big stop here to get your offense back on the field and try to make a play at the end zone.
Here we go. Third down, they call it 5. Andrew keeps it. Andrew. Oh, he's very, very close.
Looks like ball came out.
Ball maybe came out. Dayton signaling they had the football.
Ruling on the field as forward progress was stopped. It's fourth down.
He was short, so that's kind of a happy medium. Maybe not a happy one, but at least a medium for Dayton as
Third and final charge timeout, Dayton. 30-second timeout.
so they call timeout, and the Flyers stop Butler short. And you would think this is a no-brainer to just go up 2 scores, but gosh, the way Butler's moved the football, I mean, you're 6 inches from the line to gain.
Yeah.
Maybe think about just keeping your offense out.
Yeah, I mean, you know if essentially UD has used all their timeouts, so essentially if you get the first down, game's kind of over, and you're thinking in your mind, right? You can get the first down, milk the clock. No matter if you score a field goal or touchdown after that, UD has not that many timeouts to come back, right? But you're right. Do you
Trevor
kick the field
Andrews
goal?
has thrown a challenge flag out. Again, this is not a situation where the ball carrier was down, so it's very difficult to overturn a forward progress judgment call. But Dayton does want the officials to take another look to make sure this ball didn't come out. And, of course, you see the gamesmanship from the Flyers that they wanted to try and do it after they called the timeout. But I think, actually, the officials said that Trevor Andrews could not challenge this play. And so Butler brings out the field goal team. Again, this is a short field goal, but the wind has now kind of gone diagonally, and the Bulldogs did miss a PAT last week.
And UD has been close to blocking it, so.
Short from 25. Sneaks it through the block, puts it down Broadway, and that makes it a 2-possession game with 2:56 remaining, and at the very least ensures that the Bulldogs can ice it, recovering an onside kick, but that's much later down the line.
Yeah, and they've controlled the clock very well on the drive right before halftime, and then on this drive, right? 2 crucial drives in the game. Butler has been able to march down the field, control it in with a field goal, and now as your UD, you have 2:56 left. You know you have a high-powered offense that can score, but now Butler knows you have to pass, right? You can't have time to, with no timeouts, you have no time to take any kind of run plays or lose any yardage. So now Butler can kind of play back. I don't want to call it a prevent defense, but they can play a very pass-friendly defense to kind of get their DBs and dime package on the field to stop them.
Dayton out of timeouts. They'll get the 2-minute timeout when that rolls around. For the Flyers, 9 points behind. Robbie Smart has not attempted too many very long field goals, as long that he's made this year, 37, but just 2 for 5 in the Dayton kicking game. A situation that you'd maybe consider just trying to kick right away if you got close to field goal range to give your offense as much time as possible. The Bulldogs squib this. Lacko gets all the way up to it for Dayton, and Lacko's got blockers. Look out, he comes around the edge, and Lacko gets cracked down. Good tackle in the open field to prevent an even larger return. Blair Schonhorst, the St. Louis native from Butler, makes the stop, and Dayton starts from their own 30-yard line with just over 2 minutes to play.
Yeah, and I love what you said. If you get a chance and you're down in field goal position, especially with the wind at your back, you might take the field goal right away, do an onside kick, try to get the ball back and try to win that way. But you have to get positive yards on every, whether it's a 3-yard completion, get out of bounds and make sure that your guys are moving in the right direction.
Van Vliet to the far side. And maybe better for the Flyers that Verbansik didn't hold on to that.
Yeah, that play surprised me. I mean, you don't want to rush, you don't want to panic, but to throw the ball in the middle of the field when you have no timeouts, that's kind of tough to do, right? Because you know the ball has to spot the ball, everybody has to get lined up. So you're going to take some shots toward the sideline to stop the clock.
Masseri makes the catch, but he backs up inside the first down marker, and because he did that on his own accord. No forward progress, and the clock keeps moving. Dayton does line up very quickly. Butler looks like did jump. This is a free play for Dayton, but they plan to run it anyway, and so the clock stops. And this penalty is on the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we talked about it a little earlier. Butler, when they get excited, they kind of get a little antsy. They kind of try to jump the snap count. But that's one if you caught a pass play there.
Defense, 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
Yeah, that's one of those. You get a free play, right? So you kind of, if there was a pass play, you get a chance to take it down the field and see what happens. But, clock stopped there. You have some time. But I'm surprised UD is not moving with a little bit more sense of urgency, right? They're kind of up to the ball, but it's still, this is the time now. You need 2 scores, so you need to move fast and quick.
Now some movement up front. No flag in, but going to respot the football.
Yeah, this is when you call, whether it's whatever your call is it fire, NASCAR, whatever it is, you got to let people know, hey, get to the line of scrimmage right away.
Down the middle, wide open for Weatherly, and he gets near the red zone.
Great play call, right in the middle of the zone. That's the difference. When you play kind of a prevent defense to keep everything in front of you, you give up those chunk plays, but UD needs to snap the ball and get the ball moving.
Got it off just before the 2-minute timeout to the end zone for Van Vliet, who got hit as he threw. It's incomplete. That brings us to the 2-minute timeout.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
So Dayton is knocking on the door here, and now, again, this begs the question. You are right at the season long of Robbie Smart. This would be a 37-yard field goal, and that's the longest he's made this year. You've got the wind at your back. So we'll see if Dayton comes out with their offense or their field goal unit on the field.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You have no timeouts. You're down 2 scores. I think you take a couple more shots at the end zone, because if you can get 6, that leaves that pressure right for the next. Now you don't maybe not have to kick an onside kick, you can. But if you get 6 points and now you just know, hey, we just need a field goal, you can kind of stop them because Butler has been in 3rd and long, 3rd and short. So you need to stop them on 3rd down. But I think you take a couple shots at the end zone here. Van Fleet has been looking really good. He's picked apart the zone. He knows what he's doing. And so I think you try to hit that seam again a couple more times because that's what Butler is giving you on that defensive side.
So Dayton does bring the offense on the field. Van Vliet, plenty of time, zips it near corner of the end zone. It's incomplete, looking for Laco. Flyer fans, along with Laco, wanted a pass interference as they thought he got his jersey tugged a little bit, but the clock does stop. It's 3rd down.
Yeah, he had on the top of the screen, he had somebody right open in the zone. He was just looking in the wrong direction. So they're trying to run that again, and he's going to have somebody open.
Ball batted in the air at the line, and it's incomplete. And now Dayton surely going to bring the field goal team out. Or are they? Flyers are going to keep the offense on the field. So again, your in-range kicking game has been inconsistent for Dayton. They're just 2 of 5 on field goals this year. But this is the ball game right here.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying this is it. We trust Van Fleet. He's been here a while. He has some opportunities open, so let's see what they dial up.
Van Vliet hit as he throws. Laco hangs on. He got leveled by Will Mason, but Laco picks up the 1st down.
Great play call, great hands by Laco. He's been the guy all game, and that's what you do. When it's a crucial moment, you go to the guy who's the hot hand, and to be able to hold on to that ball after that big hit, that says a lot about how much this guy wants it.
Under 90 seconds to play. Van Vliet to the end zone. Incomplete, looking for Masseri.
I don't mind that. That's a one-read play right there. If Masseri's open, you hit him. If not, you overthrow it, get to stop the clock, and get us some more time to kind of score here. And they put a score on the board. That changes this whole outcome of what's about to happen on the kickoff.
Van Vliet to the end zone, looking for Laco, double covered and overshot him.
Yeah, that's kind of a smash route, smash concept. Number 1 runs a hitch. Number 2 runs to the back pylon. But when you're in short yardage in the red zone, you have 2 defenders that can guard. So that corner can essentially guard that deep kind of corner over his head and that hitch there. So that's a tough play to call in this situation with that defense, how it is. But they've had a lot of success right over the middle. So I think you got one-on-one, it looks like, with Lockett over there. I say hit him in the middle.
Pressure coming, and Van Vliet is dropped. No timeouts for Dayton. 4th down coming up, and they're going to fire drill the field goal team on. This is from 34 yards for Robbie Smart. Field goal team rushes out. And Smart knocks it through. So that keeps the game alive. Dayton manages the clock, and the field goal unit does well, but that is a huge sack by Jackson Stratton for Butler to keep Dayton out of the end zone. And now with no timeouts and under a minute to play, the Flyers' fate rests on an onside kick.
Yeah, that's the thing you tell your guys. You can throw the ball out of bounds, but to take a sack there, that's a tough pill to swallow as a coach because you had every opportunity to kind of get the ball in and had a chance to score. And they had a couple guys open on there, but they just, when you kind of send more than you can block, the quarterback has to get the ball out very quick, and they didn't have time for that route to develop. But now, obviously you kick an onside kick here, and you still have a chance. You have 52 seconds left. If you get the ball back, you know that Van Fleet, you know that you all have the weapons to score and get some big plays. So I'm excited to see how this game finishes up.
Every single Pioneer League game for the Bulldogs has been decided by one score. And they are back in the thick of a close one here this afternoon. They can seal it with a recovery. Hands team out for the Bulldogs. They drop one deep.
Looks like they're running with two kicker option right here to see which side, try to catch them offside.
And Kevin Lynch wanted to see how
Second
Dayton
charge
lined up.
timeout. Butler, 30-second timeout.
These are not the normal kickers, by the way, for the Flyers, as Trevor Henkel is out there along with David Maurer. These are the onside specialists for the Flyers.
Yeah, I was going to say, you typically have one or two guys who are better at kicking the onside because it is such a different technique, and it is such obviously a shorter kick, but you want to kick it with the right momentum and the right force so where it doesn't go out of bounds and it takes that big hop. Or if you want to kick it off of somebody, you have to have somebody who's really good at that. But when you have the two kicker option, that puts the receiving team, they don't know which direction you want to go, right? And typically when you're on a hands team, you put your best receivers in the spot where the ball's probably going to go. And now when there's two options, you kind of spread those out, right? So you can pick your guy who you want to kind of hit it off of in this situation.
It's Maurer. Got the big hop, just didn't have enough behind it. It's recovered by the Bulldogs. And Archie Cox, who had a massive game, comes up with the recovery to seal it. He had 89 yards and a touchdown receiving this afternoon. And that settles it for the Bulldogs. And how about Kevin Lynch in year one? He's got a Bulldog legacy, and he solidifies his team right in the middle of this PFL title race after a disappointing ranked loss at home last week. Butler's going to go on the road and take down a rival in Dayton with an impressive win. They go nearly wire to wire, and the Bulldogs will head back to Indianapolis, a 5-3 football team, just one win away from another season over 500, which would be their fourth in a row.
Yeah, you talk about Lynch, and the first year in, and every coach, that first kind of year coaching a team, you have these staple wins, right? You have these wins where, hey, this is everything we talked about in the offseason. This is everything we work for. If you guys work hard and do what we coach you to do, this can be the result. And so he was able to put a big win there. And the season's not over by any means necessary, right? You still have a lot of positive things to take from this, some things to clean up. But this is a wake-up call, right? That if you don't play your best game, that this type of things can happen.
Butler heads back home. They've got a big one next week. They take on the PFL's preseason favorites in Drake for their next action next weekend in a 1 o'clock start, or rather 2 weekends from now in a 1 o'clock start for the Dayton Flyers. They've got a huge one coming up next week against the Presbyterian team we just mentioned, ranked in the FCS polls, and they right now are the front runner to go the rest of the way atop the Pioneer League. Dayton can not only spoil that, but put themselves right back into a tie with the rest of the one-loss teams in the conference with a win next weekend. So certainly a lot still in front of both of these teams. And for Dayton, a quarterback, that's going to be the biggest question for them as well coming up this week after the injury to Bryce Schondelmeyer. Drew Van Fleet did what he had to do in this game. He was 7 of 16 for 79 yards and a touchdown, but ultimately Dayton comes up just short, and Butler gets a signature win in year one under Kevin Lynch. You said it, a lot still in front of both of these teams, and still a lot of exciting football to be played throughout the rest of October and November, and that's exactly what you want. This has always been a great rivalry, and this game delivered.
Yeah, it definitely did, and you're right. You know, UD still has a lot of stuff they still can accomplish this season, and sometimes a tough loss like this is just what you need in the middle of the season to kind of kick guys in gear, right? When you're playing well and you have, you know, some big victories, you can kind of get complacent and just kind of go through the motions, but this could be a good reset for them going into the, you know, big game next week.
We're back on the air with you next week, same time, same place, noon start between Dayton and Presbyterian as they come to town from South Carolina, again for a Saturday afternoon kickoff next week. And the Flyers could put themselves back with the top teams in the league with a win next weekend. They'll try to bounce back from this one this afternoon. That wraps things up for us. Thanks so much for tuning in here today from Welcome Stadium. For Scott Helton, Ken Kreitzer, my partner Josh Copeland, rest of our great University of Dayton crew, Luke Westpoli, signing off. Your final score from the Gem City, the Butler Bulldogs 23 and the Dayton Flyers 17.